He took her with him to Karachi again this week. But this time he came back from a night flight. As before, this time also he stayed in the same hotel. Salah was busy in the office while she was visiting Gumti with Anita. His next meeting with Salah was the same night before the flight. She was silent. Salah realized that some foreign officials of his bank were also traveling with him in this flight. He got a chance to talk to Imam on his way back from the airport. While sitting in his car parked in the parking lot, he asked the Imam the first question. "Why are you so quiet? Who do you talk to? You were busy," the Imam replied. "Let's talk," Salah said, changing the subject. "How was your day today?" "It was just fine." "What did you say?" She told Salah the names of the 3 places where she had gone with Anita. But Salah did not see the same enthusiasm in his speech as last time. "How old are you?" He blinked for a few moments. She was very serious. He laughed involuntarily. 9 comments. "I am serious. I am also serious. I am your husband but not ignorant. Is the apartment we are living in yours?" The next question surprised Salah even more. "No. It is rented." "But why are you asking all this?" On his answer, the disappointment on the face of the Imam was so clear that he became serious. "That was the question. Your understanding will be yours. I was thinking that with the money you gave me, you should buy us some pla." "Imam, what is the problem?" Salah said, this time putting his arm around her shoulder. "No problem. You should build your own house, not ours." She was still serious. "Have you visited Anita's house? Did you think of the design of a jamuma?" "Yes." Imam shook his head. Salah took a deep breath. His guess turned out to be correct. "It's a very nice house, isn't it?" she used to say from the old age. "Yes. Very good," Salah said while moving his hand. "Have you seen the smell of the swimming pool?" "No, when I saw their house several months ago, it was not an interior. By the way, what's the job of a dog in a swimming pool?" "Not original. Is small, looks like wood but is made of some other material. There is a small windmill on it and it keeps moving the air throughout the swimming pool." He was smiling and looking at her face. She was telling him one thing about the boat. "Anita has done great injustice to me." Salah did not respond to his silence. "Why? That's surprising. The 3rd week of my marriage, my wife left my house. Where do they buy land?" Imam ignored this. "Imam, I have 2 floors. Papa has given them. Building a house in Islamabad is not a big problem." Salah consoled him. "How big are the planks?" She was excited for a while. 10 are from Mala. "That's it, there should be at least 1 or 2 canals." She is a bit disappointed. "Yes. 10 deaths or less. There should be 2 canals." Salah confirmed. "No, don't be, 1 is enough. A vegetable farm will be made in it. Animals will also be kept. A summer house will be built. They will also build a fish farm." Salah felt that there was a mistake in estimating the place of Imam. "All this cannot be done in 1 canal, Imam," he said in a soft voice. "That's surprising. But I was talking about 1. He was gone for a few moments. "Where will you find the land in Islamabad?" After a few moments he managed. "Is it possible to meet outside Islamabad?" Imam was serious. "Do not say home again. Say you want to build a farmhouse." "No, not a farmhouse. A small house on a large open plot. Like any valley. A house in the valley of Tara. Papa also has a farmhouse. We all know sometimes you will also be taken there." Salah refused it. I'm not talking about a farmhouse, I'm talking about a real house. The Imam still had his say. The way my profession is, I can't afford to stay in a farmhouse or outside the city. It has been working for at least a while. And in big cities it is very difficult to build a house in Ecuador. This may happen to you in romantic novels but not in real life. What is possible and practical is to get a luxury flat after a few years. Or build a house of 2 square wells, not more affordable than that. However, it may be necessary to build a farmhouse outside Islamabad or Lahore after 50 years. But I know that in 20 or 30 years we will not be able to go there more than 10 or 20 times, even for a few days. He will prove to us a white elephant, on which our expenses will be every month. Salah did not realize that he had demonstrated a little more clarity than was necessary. Imam's color turned pale. That was the truth that he was suffering from. Salah did not see him speak again. All the way his silence was chewing Salah. I will show you a sketch of the house if it is feasible, he said to Imam in a cursory way before falling asleep, and saw the color of Imam's face change in a second. He did not think that a small thing would make him so happy. She was not in bed when she woke up to the sound of the alarm. You got up early today. She was working in the kitchen when Salah left for vacation. He smiled instead of answering. Salah was surprised. Today he was in a great hurry to finish the magic, and why he did it is not a secret for long. That's it. As soon as she finished eating, she brought her sketchbook. I have sketched what the house looked like. The old man was shocked. He was not expecting such immediate action on any of his instructions. The sketchbook was sitting open in front of him. Holding the sketchbook while wiping his hand with a tissue, Salah took one look at it and the other at the house in the sketch. It is better to call it an estate than a house. It included everything he had mentioned that night. A small house in the open green at the foot of the mountain with a lake in front and small structures around it. The summer house. He also colored his structures. And there is more. He saw Salah close the sketchbook and quickly turned the next page. It was definitely the rear part of his house. Stables and different types of bird habitats were built on the site. In it was also the fish farm which she was mentioning that night. You don't sleep at night? Salah asked him as he closed the sketchbook. These sketches could not have been made without hours of hard work. Imam was disappointed by this comment. She was expecting to hear more from Salah. Isn't it good? He answered the question of Salah, he said without a lamp. He kept looking at her face for a long time with the fork in his hand. Very good. After a long silence, she woke up from this sentence. Sell both of your plots and let us live a little bigger. How big is it? I'm talking about a few of you. And the land is not going to come into anyone's hands, but the maintenance expenses of this house. Well, I will have to die knowing less. If there are no leaves. Salah said after doing this. The Imam closed the sketchbook with great sadness. Okay. I won't talk about the house. She blinked and disappeared with the sketchbook. He sat down holding the fork in his hand. He was facing a very funny situation. Salah came to the bedroom after finishing his breakfast. Mom was sitting on the sofa with a sketchbook open. Seeing Salah, he closed the sketchbook and placed it on the side table. If you want a home immediately, I will buy it for you, he said with utmost seriousness, sitting next to her on the couch. I want a house like this. He then picked up the sketchbook. One is equal or not, but one will make two in you. Promise, but now get this home mania out of your head. He got up after beating the Imam's shoulder. She was involuntarily satisfied. The word of promise is enough for now. The rest of the month of Ramadan also passed in the same way. Immediately after Eid, Salah Bank was going to launch a new investment plan. And he was very busy. In this regard, the circle of Imam's activities started at home and ended at home. He used to call him 2 or 3 times a day from the bank for a few minutes. Imams thought that he was busy with time did not mean that he had reduced his time with his busyness even as much as possible. The rush was increasing due to preparations for Eid. He used to take her out every night for half an hour. Despite his busy schedule, she used to wait for this 1 hour every day and night. They came to Islamabad 2 days before Eid. Kamran and Muiz had come to Pakistan with their families. She had spoken to them on the phone, but this was their first meeting as Salah's wife. They all met him in a very friendly manner. They already knew who they were, so no one asked any questions. She sat in Iskandar Osman's wide sting area, and listened to the gossip of all the logos there. The in-laws of Salah's 3 brothers were in Islamabad, and the topic of conversation at that time was the valuable gifts from the in-laws of the 3 brothers which would be sent for them on Eid. Imam felt very weak while sitting there, and Salah didn't want to share the details of a gift from someone else. Before coming to Islamabad, apart from actor Sabat Ali Saeed Arma and actor Furqan, the daughters also used to send clothes for him. But none of these things came from his father's house. The lack of little Chizu was always present in his life. What did you make for Eid? Kamran's wife Zohar suddenly asked. He is great. For a few moments all eyes were fixed on him. Salah has taken my clothes. A shirt is a shalwar. They have also made Eid clothes for Imam. This is his first Eid. You wear my clothes on Eid. The doctor intervened and told him. Imam tried to smile. She could not do more than that. The weight on his shoulders has increased. Are you walking with me in the morning? Salah had come out of the washroom a few moments ago, dressed in nightgowns. Like the first time, this time too she played in front of the same child. Yes. He left without seeing Salah. How are you? Sitting on his bed, he looked at the Imam carefully. Yes. He replied in kind. Salah lay down on the bed with the blanket drawn. Imam turned and saw him. He was setting the alarm on his cell. She came towards him without thinking. Salah looked at him with surprise. She sat down next to him without saying anything. He was surprised to find the cell phone on the side table. She was nervous and didn't need confirmation anymore to ask. He still believed his sadness to be the result of his conversion to Islam. That the old man took her hand in his. She was looking at her hand in his hand. Then he looked up and saw Salah. You shouldn't have married me. He went away with a smile. Then who should I marry? They were surprised. From anyone, no one but me. Good advice but late. He tried to make fun of her. Imam raised his hand. Are you asking? He got up and went to his son. I will ask why. He was Abu Sanjida. You will know. He tried to get up but Salah stopped him. No, I don't know, you tell me. He was really surprised. Your heart will also want someone to buy you clothes, gifts and more. She could not finish the speech. He was looking at her face in shock. What was not even in his imagination, He felt guilty. My God, Imam. What are you thinking? She was trying unsuccessfully to rub her eyes. You should not have married me. She was patient. It wasn't about the gifts, but about everyone who he felt sitting in the lounge among these people. Instead of saying anything in response, Salah hugged her and patted her consolingly. Not satisfied, she removed his hand and left. After shedding tears in the washroom for half an hour, his heart did not lighten, but his head started to hurt. After changing the clothes, when she came back to the room, she sat like that with the room light on. Imam was a bit embarrassed. He said nothing more than that. She came to the other side of the bed without looking at him and lay down. He also turned off the lights and went to bed. He did not address Imam. And this was the blessing that was waiting for him. Imam Bibi, you are not as wise as I thought you were. There are many things in which you exhibit particular stupidity. The next morning, while walking to the village, he said this very seriously. She was looking at the road ahead. What happens when you sit down? Why do you keep thinking about things? You are upsetting me by talking to me like this, he said with extreme disgust. I will talk. He took it back. I am not interested in in-laws' clothes and gifts. What do you think I will wear on Eid? Yes. But if you are concerned that you have not received the gifts. Yes. I'm sorry. Then, the Imam interrupted him with great dismay. Then it is that I take it from you. They have taken it all before. Salah's tone softened a bit. You can't figure it all out, Imam said in this way. Yes, it can be, but you also understand that there are some things you cannot change and you have to accept it. What's up? So why did you cry so much? Everyone must have noticed that my family, he said, feeling angry. Did anyone say anything to you? No. So then he said no, but still he thought in his heart. Don't go to their heart, just listen to what I am saying. Salah said after doing this. These are meaningless things. Even if there is a normal arrangement marriage, I don't like to take any gifts from in-laws. I don't have any regrets. Or regrets because of the feelings I don't like. What could be more precious than you, Miriam? He knew that she would not be impressed by his words. He did not say anything more to Imam. This vast compound and the small buildings within it puzzled the Imam for a while. He had heard a cursory mention of this school and other projects from Salah, but he had no idea that the work was being so organized. Today only the pension was open in the compound. And at that time there was a certain number of patients. There were Eid holidays. After seeing Salah's car entering the compound, there was a commotion in the compound for some time. Caretaker staff will be one color. Most of the people working there were on leave today. And those who were there, after stopping the car in front of the annex in the last corner of the compound, saw this girl dressed in a cloak coming out of the car with Salah. The chowkidar of the annex was the first person whom Salah informed about his marriage while introducing himself to his wife. And he knew that by the time he went to the second floor of the building, the news of his marriage would have spread everywhere. Imam, passing through the lawn in front of the annex, looked at his surroundings with great interest. After a long time she was breathing in such an open space that for a while she felt every quality of sadness disappear. We go here. As soon as he reached the annex, he said to Salah, who was opening the door from chowkidar. No. You will catch a cold after a while. Even if you sit in the lounge, it will look the same to you. Now you will have a round of sponsorship in a minute. If you have to sit here, go sit. Salah told him. No, I will walk with you. He said. Immediately. Sometimes we will also come here to live. He said involuntarily. What? The Imam felt as if he was healing him. 10 minutes later he was showing him the central building and another part connected to it. And some instructions were being given to the staff. All those people are saying is the dessert. Chokadar asked Salah for another logo. Let's organize iftar and iftar. Today. I tell the accountant. Salah smiled and said. After spending 2 hours there, when she came out with him, for the first time, she had some feelings of respect for him in her heart. Why are you doing all this? He asked her on the way. For your forgiveness. The answer was unexpected, but Salah Iskander was the one who answered. I had no idea you were so kind. Imam said to him after remaining silent for a few moments. No, he is not merciful, he is not afraid, and he is not doing anything for anyone. Being responsible. If you are merciful, what is the problem? The last sentence. He said as he grew older. How did it all start? He started telling him about his meeting with Farkan and the beginning of this project. She was listening silently. He said in an appreciative manner when she was silent. It was a very difficult task. No, it was more difficult to change my lifestyle. He could not speak for a few moments. It was very difficult to remember which way it was pointing. Not everyone can do this kind of work. He spoke in a deep voice. Everyone can do but don't want to. Service of humanity is not on anyone's checklist. I was lucky enough to be there. He laughed. You have changed a lot. Imam said, looking at him carefully. He smiled. Life has changed. But I don't change. Instead, he would sit waiting for the Eid gifts from his in-laws. Imam did not mind his sarcasm. I believe I am very typical. He confessed. Not typical. You haven't seen life yet. They are serious. To say the least, my life has taught me a lot. Imam interrupted him with a little annoyance. Like what? Salah asked. What life has not taught, it cannot fail. Life has taught me many lessons. Lessons will be learned, not forgotten. Imam suddenly saw his face. He was smiling in a strange way. He never spoke directly. How are you feeling? He was asking her while looking at the road. What? He sees it as a bad way to grow up. You're looking at me. That's why I'm asking. Imam looked at his face with surprise and then laughed uncontrollably. For a few moments he really liked it. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The announcement of the moon of Eid was made before Aisha, and immediately after the announcement, Iskander asked the businessman to finish his shopping within an hour and come back. They didn't go shopping but dined at a restaurant. After that she came back after applying henna and buying clothes. Salah was wary of low wages. And Iskander's instructions were not being considered. Because the house of Imam started to come continuously. And those people also go to those markets where Salah's family used to go. They were at home around 10 o'clock. And at that time there was no one in the house. Salah had been hearing phone calls from different people for the past 2 hours. This sequence continued till coming home. Imam was getting bored. Let's make coffee and then watch a movie. Salah finally felt his disgust. Do you wash your hands? Imam saw henna on his hand and said, no, I will make coffee. You just come with me to the kitchen. Will you make very good? He placed the seal on the table. She watched him make coffee with both hennaed hands resting on the kitchen table. After taking 2 pieces of blackcurrant and chocolate fudge cake kept in the kitchen, he started to put them in the coffee tray. So Imam said, "And what? Is there any use in bringing it to my kitchen? And what? And what? Yes, you gave me company, and what?" he said as he left the kitchen. "You can make it alone, but bring me with you. You are more than welcome." He laughed at this. "This is a big deal." "Oh really? Even the hero in your romantic novels talks like this. Why are you talking about my box? He is a bad guy." Oh, sorry." Salah removed one hand from the trunk he was walking with and placed it around him for a moment. "What movies did you watch?" Imam asked, sitting on the sofa in the bedroom. Salah came from the market and bought a movie from a movie shop. Playing a movie on the C player, Salah repeated the names of the movies. He grabbed the blanket, put it on the sofa and spread the blanket on his legs, picked up a big cup of coffee on the corner table and went towards the Imam. "You drink, no need to get caught." He stopped Imam from holding the mug with hennaed hand. The credits of the film were playing on the screen. Imam took a sip of coffee. "Good enough." He nodded his head, smiling appreciatively. "Think about it." Salah lifted his mug with his other hand. He was looking towards the screen where Charlie was looking. The Imam felt this. She is a bit confused. She was unfamiliar with this actress. "Who is this?" Imam said, keeping his tone as normal as possible. "You don't know." Salah now had a piece of cake with a fork stuck in his mouth. "No, Chalice is 30. Near me is the most beautiful woman in the world." The cake was big for Imam. He turned towards the full screen. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" While eating cake, he looked away from the screen and looked at Imam. "Okay, that's it," he said coldly. "I feel beautiful." Looking at the screen, he yawned. Imam's interest in the film was over. "Good looking but bad actress. A few scenes, then," he said. "Oscar has been won." His eyes were still on the screen. Imam got Chalice and got rid of it. "His nose doesn't look good to me." After a few moments, Imam said, "Who sees the nose? He grew up in this egg." Imam saw it with surprise. Salah was serious. Then, "I like her hair." Imam started looking at the screen again. Salah laughed uncontrollably. He laughed and took Imam with him. "You are not smart at all." What happened? Imam did not understand the reason for his laughter. "There are no children. Watch the movie." Imam turned off the player by lifting the remote. What happened? What a surprise for Zul is a movie. "Just talk to me," as announced by the Imam. "I'm talking about it. Mendy will be spoiled," Salah said, looking at her hand. "No, it's dry. I wash my hands." She took off and left. After a few minutes, when he came back, the movie was on again. Seeing Imam coming, he turned off the movie. She sat next to him. The drunken old man held her hennaed hands in turn. "Mendy looks very good on your hands," he said, running his fingers over the pattern of her palm and wrist. He smiled. "What are they? Do you remember Salah, old man?" She is excited. Yes, she came to him again after wearing a chuiya. His wrists were decorated with red beads. He showed it to his uncle. "Perfect," he smiled softly. He was holding his finger on his face. "It seems like a miracle." After a few moments, he took a deep breath and said, placing his arms around him, he brought Imam closer to him. Imam rested his head on his chest. "She does not love this person, but she always feels comfort and security in his proximity. The reason was the relationship between them. Will you believe one thing? Salah said softly while putting English in his bag. What? Imam placed his head on his chest and looked at him. Make a promise first. Oh, Imam made a promise without authority. Let me watch the movie. She separated from him in extreme anger. Am I here to see you, Imam? You have released other movies too. Check them out. Okay. Imam was surprised that he accepted so quickly. After changing the movie in the CI player, he sat back on the sofa. Happy father? He asked Imam. She smiled reassuringly and moved closer to him again. Resting her head on his chest, she watched the film's credits. He was beating her very slowly. Imam fell asleep. It would have been if he hadn't seen Chalice Theron in the third scene. Without saying anything, he raised his head and looked at Salah. I'm sorry, 13 movies are from AC, he said with a shy smile. Look, mate. As he requested, Imam said after looking at the screen for a few moments. You will not define it. I promise. Salah said blankly. He's not pretty. As Imam mentioned. Not at all. Salah confirmed. And Berry is an actress. Limitless. Imam was pleased. And you will never see it the same way again. The old man laughed. How do you see it? You don't look like that. Who wouldn't do that? Salah stopped in Rouhani. It is beautiful. Imam completed his speech. I can't make you a sister. So only actresses understand that. If she is an actress, I don't see her in the movie. Half of the movie has already passed. This time Salah turned off the movie with remote control. Imam got up from the sofa in a very confident manner. He was now wrapping things from the sofa. Will you bring a blanket? Imam asked while going to the washroom. If there is any other order, let them also. He raised the blanket in a panic. Iskander gave him a bracelet as an Eid gift, and all of Salah gave it to him. Imam thought, this time he will definitely give him something in jewelry as a gift. As he expected unconsciously, he gave it to him. This time also he gave him a small amount. She was a bit disappointed, but she did not complain. To Salah. On the night of Eid, there was a big family in the farmhouse of Iskander Osman located in the outskirts of the city. She was introduced for the first time as Salah's wife. And in the red dress prepared by the doctor, she looked like a brand new bride. Imam now felt that Salah's decision to convert to Islam and not hide his identity was right. He desperately needed the honor and respect he received there. After enjoying her plate during the open-air barbecue, she lingered for a while and sat down on the wooden porch of the farmhouse. The rest of the people were engaged in various activities while hanging out in front of the open green in the form of a Tollywood. Why did you go here? Coming close to Imam, he said from a distance. That's it, she came to get the shawl. Then she lost her daughter. He is smiling. Salah, who was sitting near him, placed a glass of soft ink in a low position between his fingers. Imam was leaning on a wooden pillar with a plate of food on one knee and watching Gukoka sitting on the stage in the far lawn. Salah picked up his fork and took a piece of kebab from his plate in his mouth. He turned towards the speaker who had started his poem. Are you having fun? Salah asked him. Yes. He smiled and said, she used to listen to poetry. One's eyes are full of love. On the tongue the story is sad. Love will happen. He also started listening to ghazal while drinking soft drink. Sometimes to laugh, sometimes to cry. sometimes to laugh and cry. The wonder of the heart is that love will happen. It's going. Well. Salah shook his head instead of saying anything. Too much happiness is also a disorder. Being sad is also a sadness. Love will be. Salah drank soft ink and laughed. Imam saw his face. They might have arrived. I want to give you something. He was trying to get something out of his jacket pocket. I wanted to give a lot, but he stopped talking. He had a bag in his hand. An involuntary smile appeared on Imam's face. So he finally took care of it. He thought about taking the bag and opened it. She remained silent. There were other colors inside. The colors are almost identical to the ones she often wears. He looked up and saw Salah. I know it won't be as valuable as your father's, but I'd love it if you could wear it sometime. Tears came to his eyes after seeing these earrings. It's okay if you don't want to wear it. I can't replace it. Salah saw the moisture in his eyes and said, instead of saying anything, the Imam removed the jumka hanging from his right ear. Can I wear it? Salah said, taking out an ink. Imam shook his head. Salah repeatedly wore other colors in his clothes. He smiled with twinkling eyes. He was looking at her for a long time. It looks good. No one can love you more than me. No one can care for you more than me. I could not think more highly of you. I have nothing of value except you. He was saying it with a twinkle in his eye. I have been blessed, he said to the Imam while he was saying, is there a romance? He shuddered at the sound of the room behind him. Are trying, Salah said without turning. Good luck. It is said that he got down from the Sidhu and walked away without looking at him. Imam stopped. Breathing has been restored. She had passed away. Salah and his family were at least free thinking in these matters. Sitting next to each other on these wooden benches, they were listening to the melodious voice of the speaker. Those moments of life were memorable. On returning to Lahore, a long series of Eid celebrations began. He was introducing Imam in his social and business circle. A large part of the gathering consisted of non-citizen men and women. He was a family member. At least a year ago, they brought him there by telling him the same thing. But he did not tell who the families were. For a few moments it seemed as if she had come up against Miss World. The women. There were between the ages of 20 and 7, but it was more difficult to determine which of them belonged to which age. With a cigarette in his hand, he was engaged in conversation with different people, hugging with warmth and ease. On the chiffon dress, the two of them brought the Imam to his own light. It was just as he had started himself. For the first time, he noticed the difference between Salah and his dress. In a brandy black suit with a red bow tie, he looked the part. And then it was revealed to the horror that his style was not matching with Salah's look at all. They were a couple. The second big round of that feeling of inadequacy fell at the wrong time and the wrong place. He was introducing him repeatedly to different people. And the Imam was surprised at his acceptance and warmth. The one he used to meet. Then he realized that there was a reason for this too. This protocol was for Mrs. Salah Iskander, not for Imam Hashem. The tag that hangs around the neck has the same protocol, even if its solution is worse than this. His sense of inferiority was rising. Along with Salah, some other women of their own dress were also seen in this complex. And he got some money. Please click. The waiter, holding a tray of drinks, came right up to him and said. He suddenly looked at the tree. There was apple juice in the wine glass. He raised a glass. Salah, who was talking to a foreigner in front of him, took the glass from Imam's hand in a very imperceptible manner, and he stood up. Ayah thought for a moment that he wanted to drink himself, but with his glass in his hand, he continued to talk to Joe. The waiter served all the people in the circle and came back to Salah. Salah said to the waiter while placing Imam's glass back in the tray very discreetly, "Soft link please." Imam did not have any understanding. He watched her go away with her glass in the tray. Then he saw Salah. He was still busy there. The waiter was there a few moments later with another tray. This time, before he raised his glass, Salah raised a glass and gave it to him and took the other one himself. "Oh hello sir." She was a 45-year-old woman who shook hands with him when she was nearly a year old, and then took his arm in an extremely friendly manner with ease. He did not hug the woman like the other men there, but some of them were holding hands with women. Digestion for Imam, it was very difficult to do. "Someone told me at your wife's bar. This is a big news for me. When did you get married?" that woman used to say to him. Salah politely introduced the Imam. Mrs. Lake met him and invited him to dinner. Salah accepted the invitation without hesitation with a faint smile. Imam saw someone behind him and saw Salah smiling. "Hi Ramzha." The Imam turned and looked involuntarily. "Oh hey Ramzha" also came to him smiling. Salah introduced Dunov to another. Ramzha met him with great pleasure. "You are very lucky. If you hadn't met him, I would have married this guy," Ramzha said to Imam with great ease. "Of course I will be late to meet Salah." He also laughed happily in response. "When is William?" she was asking. "In Islamabad on the 20th. She was talking to Salah. Imam did not see Salah avoiding him. He was making appointments with him. She was the first girl to come to him, with whom the behavior of the year-old was a little more carefree. Imam could not look away from it. Say something. On his return, Salah felt his silence and said, "What do you talk about?" "No one." "She will be silent again. You guys are amazing." After a while the old man heard him growling. They suddenly turned towards him. "Why is it strange? Do you women look good in this kind of dress?" he asked her, looking into her eyes. "You wear what you like." They also wore what they liked. He looked at Salah in disbelief. At least she wasn't expecting such an answer from him. "Don't you feel bad? To me, they were all respectable people. Some were my clients and some were known to me anyway. Why should you feel bad because you are a man? You will feel very good if you women will be seen in this type of clothes." No idea how hard his accent was while talking. Salah's face turned red. "In such gatherings, I do not become a man, I become a guest. I don't care who wears what. For me, every woman is respectable without her clothes. I don't know someone's character based on their clothes. If you think you've got a dupatta, you're worthy. And the woman who is wearing an objectionable dress is not worthy of respect. So you are completely wrong." He could not speak. For the first time, he felt the sting in Salah's tone. "How would you feel if someone said the same thing to you because of your veil? As you say in their bar. Why are you supporting them? That Janjalai. I'm not defending anyone. I'm just saying that what other people do and don't do is none of our business. Do you like it all?" He laughed at her question. "It's not an issue. I don't like it all in my life, but I have to take it in such a way because I have to be." social to some extent because of my job. Ask one thing. Salah looked at him with some surprise. But he didn't say anything. To be continued.